This is the QB Huddle Podcast, hosted by Tim Smith and Brandon Newey.
Welcome back into the QB Huddle Podcast. I'm Tim Smith, and I'm joined as always by my podcast partner, Brandon Newey. And today we have a special guest host as well. The head coach of the Frisco Fighters, Coach Andre Coles, is here with us. We're here to talk all things quarterback all season long. What's up, fellas? How y'all doing? How's your day after Sunday doing today? Yesterday was a big day.
What's going on?
What's going on, man? Let's get it.
We're going to start with you, Coach Coles. We want to know who you are. We know you're the head coach of the Frisco Fighters, but certainly you did something. You played football before you were a coach. Tell us a little bit about your background and your playing background and such.
Well, first and foremost, thanks to you guys to have me on. This show's awesome, and anytime we can talk about quarterbacks, I get excited about that, right? So, Andre Coles, born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So I don't like that jersey that you have on.
You do not like this jersey today. Okay,
I
fair
do not
enough.
like that jersey. Yeah. Born and raised in Philly, and I started playing football when I was 6 years old. I grew up watching Randall, so I always wanted to play quarterback, and was kind of inspired by that. Played quarterback all throughout. Wound up going to a Division II university, Kutztown University. Played football and basketball there, which was a fortunate thing for me to be able to do that and get school paid for. After that, went right into some NFL tryouts and workouts, and that was at that time where they were moving quarterbacks to tight ends. I'd never blocked in my life, so I was in there getting my butt kicked. Went right back into coaching college basketball. And I was actually out at a high school recruiting, and an arena coach walked up to me and was like, "Hey, man, you should still be playing ball. I coach a team out here. Why don't you come to a tryout and just check it out?" So I went, made the team, Reading Express up in Pennsylvania.
Nice.
Won a championship that first year, and then wound up playing for 11 seasons. So traveled all over, played in almost every league. And it's fun. I mean, the arena game is fun. You get to see the world, not the world, but the States, and you get to travel and you get to meet guys, and you get to still be active. When my playing days are done, I was offered a head coach job, the York Capitals, up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Kept it rolling from there. So I've been in Harrisburg. Before I was with the Fighters, I was with the Jacksonville Sharks for 2 years. And now I'm going into my third season here with the Frisco Fighters. So I've been in the arena game since 2008. I love it. I love what it offers. I love the fan experience. I love how close you get to the fans and the players, and being able to move guys up and help guys to continue, whether it's the next level of football or whether it's, in their careers professionally. So blessed to be a part of it.
Yeah, and you're doing a heck of a job. I mean,
awesome, man.
The Frisco Fighters last year made it to the conference championship game where you lost by just a point. Your quarterback, TJ, I don't know what was TJ's last name?
TJ Edwards.
TJ Edwards was
Nice.
the MVP of the league, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, so that really talks to what you're doing and how you're molding these quarterbacks. You have Trip Harrington in the room this year, which is a guy that Brandon has worked with. So it's a small world.
Yep.
We're hoping for the best
small
for him to get an opportunity, but it sounds like you've got great things going on. Why don't you tell the folks, in case they don't know, who the Frisco Fighters are?
Yeah, so the Frisco Fighters are an indoor football team right here in Frisco, Texas. We are going into our fourth season, even though the team's been around for 5 years. We lost a year to COVID. And we're a high-level team. I mean, Frisco, we play in the IFL. That league is going into its 16th year. It's a national league, so we go anywhere from Boston over to California, Arizona. We have historic teams in our league, the Iowa Barnstormers, Arizona Rattlers, Jacksonville Sharks just joined, but we're here. We're here in the DFW area. We play 8 home games here at the Comerica Center. Our schedule just came out a week and a half ago, so you can hop online and see our schedule. But it's fast paced, it's fun, it's energetic, and the best part about it being in Texas is that we play inside. So when it's super hot out, you can come inside and enjoy some football, and you can see some local talent. We pride ourselves on signing guys that are from the area, that have ties to the area. So you can come and see some familiar faces, some high school legends, and some guys that may have went off and played at some colleges here. And we're giving them an opportunity to continue their career. So our schedule's on FriscoFighters.com. The same thing on Instagram and on Facebook. And we're gearing up. Our first home game here is March 22nd. It's a Friday night against the Tulsa Oilers, which is a second-year program who will be much improved from last year. So super excited to get the season going, and we should have a good year.
Yeah, we're excited for you. I mean, we're always excited about arena football. It comes on right after the NFL season is over. So, you football nerds out there like us, you're hungry for football. It's over. It's not over. You can drive right to the Comerica Center. You can watch the Frisco Fighters play. You can see some guys you've seen in college, guys that you've seen in the NFL are back and forth. I mean, T.O. played in this league at one point with the Wranglers. You've got some big-time players. Robert Kent has played in this league. Robert Kent is the second all-time leading passer at HBCU. He now plays for the Fort Worth Bulls across town from you in the NAL. So there's a lot of good football to continue to watch here, and we're so happy that you were here to join us today. So let's get into it, and let's start with who was on fire. This is we love this segment because we want to know who was just simply getting it done yesterday. Who was that for you? We already know who it's going to be for Brandon, but who was it for you?
Honestly, it's not a sexy pick, man. It's not a sexy pick, but I love what Russell Wilson's doing right now. He's winning games.
Yeah, 4 straight. Yeah.
He's winning games. I think sometimes, quarterbacks love quarterback play. And when you can manage a game, when you can take a team that's been struggling, that was in the dumps, it's easy to pack it up and just turn it in and quit and start playing a bunch of rookies, and your vets kind of check out. But that veteran leadership, now that he's comfortable, is starting to pop out, and he's rallying these guys. I think early in the season, if you looked at it, he'd make a bad play and guys are kind of walking away from him, putting their heads down, where now he makes a bad play or he'll make a bad throw and guys are picking him up a little bit. They're egging him on, and that leadership's coming through, and it's now translating to wins. So that's my pick, man. I love what he's doing out there.
I love that pick too. I think Sean Payton finally, where it started a little rough, I can see that he's had some sort of an effect on Russell Wilson to where Russell's made himself more of the team and not, I'm Russell Wilson and these are my Broncos. It's more, these are the Broncos and I'm Russell Wilson. And I love that. I love the transition that they're going through for sure. Brandon, what are your thoughts on that and who was on fire for you?
Well, I'm ready. Got your story. I love your story, Coach. I thought that was really awesome. Another story that I want to say, especially as far as guys on fire, I want to talk about on fire, efficient, just getting the job done, Brock Purdy. You can't, I know I'm saying this almost every other week, right? I get it. He's my quarterback. I love it. But we're all quarterbacks here, and he is efficient as it gets. Right? Yes, he's a rookie. He made some mistakes down that 3-game stretch, right? But all those things are going to happen to quarterbacks. You can't name me one guy that hasn't turned the ball over this year. And it's a lot of high turnovers this year. But this guy's got now 18 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. He put up a perfect passer rating of 158.3. That's the highest you can get. My man's only incompleted 6 passes in 2 games. Think about that. And that's against the Jacksonville Jaguars and Tampa Bay. Now, I know Tampa is a little under 500. I get that. But that's still one of the top defenses for the past probably 5-6 years. They're just a little bit on a downslope. So I think he did really well. I also think Trevor Lawrence did good too, man. After bouncing back, 4 TDs, low key. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing, was efficient, didn't turn the ball over, blew out the Titans. I mean, my goodness. But those were my 2 that just really stood out like a sore thumb.
True.
If Justin Herbert would have won, I'd have gave it to him because, man, that dude balled. I feel bad for him.
Once again, Justin Herbert has no defense behind him. He has zero support, it feels like.
Man.
Golly.
It's so bad.
He's the fastest guy to throw over 1,500 completions and still can't win games. So
insane.
What's going on in Chargerland? I don't know. I'm going to go out to the East Coast. I'm going to take us to Josh Allen because we've been rough on Josh Allen as we should have been over the last couple of weeks. It seems like Joe Brady, the change to Joe Brady, had a significant difference in that offense. I saw Josh Allen under center taking snaps and handing the ball off on 3rd and short. I saw trap plays. I saw Josh Allen go 20 for 32, 275, 3 touchdowns. He didn't throw the ball 50 times. He didn't throw 400 yards. He threw 1 interception, that was at the end of the half, so no big deal there. It's on a Hail Mary.
Like a punt,
so we're not worried about that. They ran the ball 33 times with guys not named Josh Allen.
About time.
I've been waiting. I've been calling for that for years, and all this year I've been very vocal that, hey, they're asking him to do too much. I think Joe Brady made a tremendous change. They seem to rally Josh Allen in a little bit. He's so talented. Let that talent go when you need it. So I'm going to say Josh Allen was on fire yesterday, and it was a lot of fun to watch. It was a lot of fun to see him back doing his thing. But I love the Russell Wilson pick, and I can't argue with Brock Purdy because he has been amazing. I mean, he had that stretch where he was missing 2 superstars, and it didn't look great. You know, the defense wasn't really helping out, but he was on fire yesterday. He was.
Yeah. See, I don't even blame those games on Brock Purdy though. I think okay, and I'm saying this as a Eagles guy, right? But a lot of times, and we don't want to point the finger, but sometimes it can be coaching or coordinators, right? Because in the NFL, people get a little comfortable and they get a little cocky and they don't want to adjust. So when those superstars went out, they were calling the same exact plays. There was zero adjustments to the talent that they have and what they were rolling out.
Right.
So you can't call the same plays that you would the mesh concepts where Debo would get out and the stuff out of the backfield where you got McCaffrey when those aren't the guys doing it. So Purdy was having to force some stuff to guys who shouldn't have been in those positions. And of course, it always looks bad on the quarterback. So I'll defend him on that. To me, that was Shanahan and those guys kind of not being creative enough to adjust to what they were putting on the field.
Yeah, to attest to that, Coach, I mean, Shanahan gets extremely cocky. I mean, he does. He doesn't get out of his way. He doesn't adjust the way he should sometimes. And Brock's having to make these in-breaking routes, and he's throwing some of the tightest window throws. I mean, come on, man. Let's just extend it to the outside, put McCaffrey in motion, put him on the outside, let Jordan Mason run a little bit. You got to get those other backs involved because now that creates a different dynamic that he can utilize just in case Debo or Trent, goes down, knock on wood.
Right.
But you got to prepare for that. It's a long season.
Yep.
That reminds me of something I heard yesterday, and it's been said for years. And as an offense coordinator, at one point myself, and Coach, you run an offense, so you understand this. Sometimes it's more about less about the X's and O's and more about the Joes, right? You gotta, you have your X's and O's, but what you're saying, Brandon, is that Shanahan doesn't adjust for who the Joes are, and you got to make those adjustments. And Coach, you said the same thing. So we're going to put those 3 losses on Mike Shanahan and move along, I guess. Kyle Shanahan. Shanahan.
It's like Mike is probably in the box, but
I'm just saying it's more of a balance, right?
Yeah.
Brock still made the decisions. He's still running the team, but you have to adapt. I mean, when you lose a piece, you got to adjust your game plan. And I think sometimes people get so caught up in, well, my system is my system. It should work regardless of who's out there. And that's not true week to week.
Yeah. Well, we talked about the good. We had a couple different quarterbacks this week. It was a good week of quarterback play, apparently. A couple weeks ago, we didn't have that to talk about. But let's go. This is my favorite. Let's go to the garbage juice, right? We bring out the truck and we throw them right up in there. I've got mine. I'm going to hold on to it. I hope nobody else picks them. But, Coach Cove, we're going to go to you first. Who was in the garbage juice yesterday?
Man, my pick is Sam Howell.
Uh-oh.
Trash.
That sounds like an Eagles fan.
Trash.
So here's the thing. It's more of that like quarterback disappointment, right? Because you finally get into a point where you have a chance to be what people are now starting to call you. Okay, this guy could be a franchise quarterback. You're taking the Eagles to the brink. The offense is efficient. You're moving the ball, and you have a chance to build some momentum. And then you go and lay an egg against one of the worst teams in the NFL, the Giants.
The worst teams.
These are the games that you have to win.
I agree.
If you want to establish yourself going into the minicamp and going into the offseason to turn the ball over 3 times against a team that should not be on the field with you. And then it's a division game on top of that. I can't defend it.
All right. We love that. I mean, let's go, Washington. I think Washington should get relegated back to the XFL. Especially after losing to the Giants. I mean, their uniforms look XFL-ish. Their play looks XFL-ish. Maybe they could win something. Who knows? They haven't won anything since the 80s. So, all right, Brandon.
Been a while.
Who's in your garbage juice this week?
I mean, Coach took it as far as Sam Howell, but I'll go with another one, man. And he's just been trending down like crazy. Zach Wilson.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
That seems
man,
like
brother. I don't know what's going on. You got Alan Lazard, you got Breece Hall, you've got a good, plethora of skill players. Obviously, your line's a little suspect, but you have the ability to move and extend plays. And you just can't come out and lay an egg, man. I mean, you're one of the worst. You're last in completions. You're last in yards. You're last in touchdowns. But you were the number 2 overall pick. The head coach is putting his soul out there to like, man, I'm just going to ride with you. Let's see what happens. And you're not doing anything about it. I mean, you go and lay an egg to Buffalo 32-6. You get benched for a guy that is he a team captain? He goes out with a coin toss all the time. But he didn't do anything either, so he didn't show any leadership there. They didn't lead anything. 6 points. No. It's pathetic, man, when you got a guy like Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard. I mean, you got some guys out there, and that defense can only do so much, man.
I like it.
It's sad. It's pretty bad.
I like it. You're 100% right, and I like Zach.
Sit down.
Out of college. I thought he was going to have something.
Man.
Sit down.
He hasn't shown anything. I'm going to go do another guy that hasn't shown anything. In fact, I've got 2 rookies on the list, but because you guys, neither one of you said this one, I'm going to enjoy the heck out of it. Yes, I have a Chiefs jersey on today because I am a Cowboys fan, and so I want the Eagles to lose. So I'm a huge Chiefs fan tonight because, that's just how it rolls. But I'm a Cowboys fan. And what the Cowboys did to Bryce Young yesterday, Bryce Young, once again, week after week after week, he could really just pay rent in the garbage juice. He could just live there because that's where he is. 16 for 29, 123 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The Panthers averaged 3 yards a play. He was sacked 7 times. They were 33% on third down. It's an absolute train wreck is what it is. He didn't look comfortable. Not one play in that game yesterday. He made 0 plays, and I don't know what the Panthers are going to do. I don't see Bryce Young ever being a good NFL quarterback. He's smart as a whip. He knows where the ball is supposed to go, but he just simply doesn't have the ability to get it there.
I think it's his feet.
And I saw
his feet are slow.
Yeah.
To me,
he's not.
You got to be quick.
Uber athletic, right? If you're going to be that small, you have to be special athletically, and he's not. And I think that's a problem. The ball is almost bigger than his hand, by the way. I mean, what I mean by that is I can't see his hand holding the ball. I can't see any of his fingers. I mean,
he's a small guy.
He's a small, tiny guy, and he's getting taken down very easily. And I'll give him credit for one thing. He lasted till the end of the game because Micah Parsons hit him a couple times in such a manner that I wanted to go to the hospital for myself. Like I was hurting. Like, oh, I think I broke a rib.
It was bad, man.
Yeah, he's got to get better pre-snap. He's got to get better.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody in Carolina is not being honest with him or they're not coaching him right because it's like the same things that you guys named. His feet are horrible this year in the NFL.
It's slow.
College is a little different when you're sitting behind a bunch of 5-stars and your feet don't matter because you're just pushing it out and you can be behind. NFL, everybody's elite, right? But then also what I see from him is pre-snap. I mean, there's no checks. There's no adjustments. I mean, you're letting Cowboys defenders run free. You're not changing protections. Now, whether that's him or I don't know if he has the freedom to do it. I don't know. But part of being a quarterback, you guys know, you got to know your weaknesses, man. You got to protect yourself a little bit. So
put that back into play. Yeah, for sure. He doesn't do that.
Frank Wright gave Miles all that money.
Yeah.
In his hands. What are we doing? So I agree with you.
He doesn't look like a number 1 pick to me. Meanwhile, CJ Stroud is, he had a tough day yesterday with 3 interceptions, but he still won the game. So I couldn't he was running towards the garbage juice. He really wanted to jump in that thing, but because they won, it's hard
he had his toes in it. It was close. If he didn't get that win, I was like, brother, you can't do that.
I want to join all my brothers in the garbage juice. Aiden O'Connell.
You were close.
Yesterday. Bro, Aiden O'Connell, 24-41, 3 interceptions. That's garbage juice. And I like him. But I didn't like him yesterday. That was 28% on third down. Like, that's not good. All the rookies are struggling quarterback-wise except for CJ Stroud, which that's telling. That's telling.
He's dealing, man. He's dealing. His pre-snap is phenomenal.
If he
gets rid of the ball,
by the way, he'll be the first and only ever Ohio State quarterback to make the Pro Bowl if he makes it this year. He'll be the only one ever to have made it. So
Nice.
let's just
Can't
talk
think
about
of
that a
anybody
little
else.
bit.
Justin Fields didn't make the Pro Bowl?
Justin Fields did not make the Pro Bowl.
No.
No.
That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah, he's the first one. So let's move on. We're still talking about the good, though, because there's got to be somebody out there that you watched yesterday and said, oh, I didn't expect to see him do that. Maybe it was bad, maybe it was good. But, Coach, who surprised you yesterday?
You know, I hate that I'm going to say this, man, but I really liked Dak yesterday.
Oh, Dakota.
I liked him. I liked him yesterday, and I liked him because he didn't do what I expected him to do, which was to go lay an egg. I expected them to go lay an egg against a really bad team. I think historically the Cowboys, when they beat a bad team, the next week they don't show up. You know, so to see them string together 2 performances in a row, like that's what we want to see from Dak, right? We want to see you lead a team and be consistent from week to week, not have a really good win at home and then go somewhere else and now you're turning the ball over 2 or 3 times. So I was happy that he managed the game. He got out clean. They won. It wasn't close. It was never in question. You know, so I was happy to see that from Dak. That's good for him to be consistent. The Cowboys are so talented. If Dak is just Brock Purdy, the Cowboys are going to be fine. It's when Dak tries to be the hero and starts pushing the ball and starts forcing stuff is when the Cowboys look really bad, right?
Hey, you don't need to do that.
Yeah,
you don't need to do that.
It's not your job. Your job is to deliver the mail.
I love that he was surprised by that yesterday. I'm vocal as I can be about this. I'm going to the Eagles game here in a couple weeks. I'm not going to be a believer in my Cowboys until they beat a team that's over 500, and they haven't done it in 2 years. So let's beat the Eagles.
2 years?
At home.
2 years.
Let's beat the Eagles at home. And you know what? Then I can start getting a little excited and go, now I'm happy, right? I felt like we should have beat y'all in Philly. I thought that was our chance. I felt like what you said, when the money's on the line, I feel like Dak gets exposed a little bit. When there's no money on the line, Dak's amazing. He plays as good as any quarterback in the league. But when there's money on the line, that's when he kind of, and gets shaky to me. So
if you go back and you watch that first game, I mean, there's 3 drives at the red zone where you guys didn't get points, and he missed so many open guys.
Yeah, I know.
Where you guys would have walked in and scored, but he's trying to make a hero throw to the sideline or extend the play that you don't need to expend. Where just get rid of the ball, just give it to your playmakers, and you guys would have walked out with that win.
But
that's Dak being Dak. So.
Working at the line of scrimmage, right? On that, the last play where he throws to the tight end, my thought process is looking at the coverage. We have 2v2 over here with my 2 best receivers. I know that linebacker's blitzing. Why not change my protection so I can go to the mismatch on the right side? Instead, I try to beat the blitz by throwing to the left side to a tight end that didn't even push his route into the end zone. So
wasn't in the end zone. Yeah.
No.
Work away from your overload.
It's pre-snap.
I don't understand.
You got to be able to do that. And to me, that's the difference between him and some of your elite guys. But we move on. Who surprised you yesterday, my friend Brandon Newhy?
Who surprised me is Jordan Love. And I'll tell you why. This is the first time that a Packers quarterback in the past 2 seasons have thrown for over 300 yards. Jordan Love did it with no picks. Yeah. No picks. Yeah. Hey, there's a shot right there. He has some flash about him. Is he the most talented? No. But he has good arm angles. He changes trajectory very well. Guys were running wide open. Obviously, it's the Chargers defense. They gave up 500 plus last week. So Jordan Love's probably going to look like freaking Brett Favre here. But I just think what he did in a close game when it mattered, I thought he was in very much control. Right. And we'll see over time, but we all know Lambeau's a tough place to play, man. It's the frozen tundra. It's going to start to get cold. Balls get slippery. These guys can play in that weather, and other guys can't, especially these West Coast teams. They don't do very well with them.
Right. Well, We're not going to have to worry about the Green Bay Packers in any playoff scenario this year, luckily.
No.
But
it was nice to see the Rook do his thing.
Yeah,
He's still a Rook to me.
For Justin, that was his first game at Lambeau. I was really hoping he would get a win there, in Lambeau. But
he's so good.
Maybe Justin can play quarterback and safety. I mean, maybe there's something to that. I don't know. Maybe he can help out.
Did you see the dart he threw when he shifted to the left side of the hash and threw it all the way back to the right, and it hit the TCU former receiver right in the hands?
Yep.
Oh,
and he dropped it.
You know how hard of a throw that is?
Hey, how about that throw Josh Allen made last night where his hips were opened all the way left and he threw to the backside dig on the right side? It made no sense, and the dude ran for
God, he drives me nuts watching him play quarterback.
Yeah,
right?
Drives me nuts.
Like
him and Mahomes drive me crazy.
Allen do it. Oh no, that's a different level of arm strength right there. There's only not even a handful of guys that could have made that throw.
Dude can throw a strawberry through a submarine.
I'm going to go with Justin Fields yesterday. He's been hurt. He's been out 4 weeks. They've been talking about him. Hey, let's get rid of him. Are we going to trade him? Are we going to get Caleb Williams? And really, Justin did everything he could have done to win that game yesterday. He just ran into a buzzsaw in Jared Goff in that fourth quarter. But 16 for 23, 169, 1 TD doesn't wow you, but he had 100 yards on the ground. He made throws in important moments. He had the Bears with 3 minutes left in the game. He had them up 2 possessions. So in Detroit, first game back. I mean, this is a team that's been reeling. I loved what Justin did yesterday, and it told me once again, keep Justin Fields in Chicago. Use those draft picks and all that money that you have to build around him and go win something. Go take advantage of a weak division right now. That was my thought yesterday. Did you guys get a chance to see anything from him yesterday?
He did his thing, man. He
balled.
He did.
Again, there were some terrible decisions also.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I defend quarterbacks, but time management, some of the play calls. I mean, when a quarterback is hot, that drive where they were rolling, they were going, he's getting the ball out quick, and then they come out with a 7-stepper and he gets sacked. It's like, why are you switching out to what we're doing? Now he gave it up with the strip sack. I understand that he's got to protect the ball, but he's in a rhythm and he's going, and now you get out of that pocket of play call and to call this long drawn out drop back where you're not fooling those guys. Get the ball out quick and let them run. So I think they're sometimes like a guy like Justin when he's rolling, keep him in that pocket, let him run the ball, let him get it out quick, and then they go back to being the Bears and try to run this long drawn out scheme to push downfield, but it hasn't worked for you all day.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Coach, what you're saying with that 7-step drop, I feel that needs to be thrown out. It's over. To me, they're too fast now. Like, it's like the counter. A lot of people don't run the counters anymore. They're running these zone stretches, right? These guys are on the edge so fast. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So you're doing 7-step drops. Even I'm looking at Brock Purdy when he threw that one to Ayuk. I'm like, why are we throwing a 7-step drop fade?
Right.
Why?
It's unnecessary. It's an old school mentality of this.
They're too fast now.
But DNs are we're telling offensive tackles to let the DN run the hoop. Let them run the hoop. A 7-step drop puts you at the end of that hoop.
Right.
Yep.
So you're putting Justin Fields right where your tackle is working that DN.
Right, forcing him to climb.
We look at a quarterback and we say, oh, he took a sack.
Yeah. These guys are too fast now, man. They're too fast.
That was a heck of a play by Hutch at the end of the game. I mean, there's nothing Justin Fields could do about that, unfortunately.
He's a dog.
I just hated the play call in that situation where that DN has his ears pinned back. Why are we calling it a 7-step drop?
Well, I'm done with the entire coaching staff in Chicago. They can all go.
Throw that thing away.
We need to bring in a young mind, somebody that can conform to Justin's abilities and do like Philly has done and create an offense that works around your quarterback, not ask your quarterback to come in and work an offense that you want him to run. That's going to be the difference.
And how many staffs has that been in Chicago?
A lot.
It's
This is the
too
last
many.
three
I can't
that we're
even
talking
count
about.
that high. How many coaches? And the fact that we had Lovie Smith and we could have stuck with him forever, and we let him go 2 years after a Super Bowl run, and then we paid.
And then he
for
won
that
like 10 plus games, didn't he? And
Yeah.
you let him go.
Yeah,
Dumb.
Crazy.
it was ridiculous, and we've maybe we're cursed from a coaching standpoint for that move alone. I don't know how they let Lovie Smith out the door. Well, it's halftime. Brandon, why don't you tell the folks about our other show, which is really heating up now that we've got playoffs coming up and we've got some big guests lined up. Why don't you tell the folks about the Couch Coach?
Man, Couch Coaches every Friday. We give you the real trending topics, weekly NFL topics. We really take a deep dive into some things, and we do go down the rabbit hole a little bit. People start to overtalk, get a little animated, right? But I think I think what people are missing, if you're missing this show, you're missing some crazy predictions. I mean, these things are accurate. I mean, this has been from week 1, week 2. I mean, how we're saying the Houston Texans were going to emerge as a dark horse. The Detroit Lions are emerging as a dark horse. You're starting to see these things. So everybody, please go like, share, subscribe to the QB Huddle and the Couch Coach. XO, myself, and Tim Jitsu, we do a great job of putting some content together for you. We got some great guests that come on, and they're ready. Because you got to have your notes. You better be ready because we're gonna roast if you don't know what you're talking about.
I think we're gonna have Coach Coles on there as well as we get closer.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on, Coach. Man,
for that. We've talked about
that. Let me know.
Yeah, so we can have Coach Coles on, but I know Mark Clayton, Aqib Talib, these guys should be on very soon. So stay tuned for that, especially for playoff football. I know they're pretty fired up and they actively watch the show, but just stay tuned into it, man, because we got some fire content. We're gonna bring some more heat. So
fantastic. We'll be dropping another one here after Thanksgiving, so be on the lookout.
That's awesome.
Coach, were you a Tom Brady fan? Did you appreciate at least what Tom Brady could do, right? And of course, you beat him in the Super Bowl. So
how could you not? I think that's the epitome of being a quarterback, right? Regardless of who's on your roster, regardless of who you signed, regardless of who you drafted, you roll the ball out and your team has a chance.
There you go.
How do you not respect that?
Yeah,
he's good.
That was the Brady system, and nobody was better at the last-minute drive of the game to get your team in position for that winning field goal or score the touchdown, depending on what was needed, than Tom Brady. And so I don't know if it was already there or if Brandon and I may have coined it, but it was Brady moment. And now anytime a quarterback has that opportunity to win the game at the end, that's their Brady moment. That's their shot.
That's your Brady moment. Let's go.
Brandon, this came from one time where we were in the middle of a game and we're down in the fourth quarter. We're going out to do our final drive. And Brandon looks at me and he goes, "This is my Brady moment." And I was like, "What?" Okay, that's what it is from now on. So that's what it is.
Yeah.
We'll get into it. Who had a Brady moment for you yesterday?
Oh,
there's some decent ones.
There's a few.
Man.
Couple.
It's hard for me to pick one. And I don't even want to give him credit for it because he put up big stats, but like Tua yesterday.
Okay.
They were in a dogfight.
Yeah, with the Raiders.
With a hot team. Even though the defense came up with the pick, he threw for 300 yards. They spread the ball around, and I think where Tua doesn't get credit is he manages the game, and they're balanced.
Yeah,
the Dolphins are balanced. I mean, they almost ran the ball 30-something times yesterday, and he still threw for 300-something yards. So I really like Tua. But then there's just so many yesterday. I think I'm going to go with Tua, just to not steal anybody else. I like what Tua did yesterday.
All right, who are you going with, B?
I think what this gentleman did up north showed me that they are here to play, even though it's a team below 500. They were just like you said, Coach. They were in a dogfight, right? But this team was the Lions and the Bears. And from Jared Goff coming back from 3 touchdowns, he didn't flinch, or 3 interceptions. Excuse me, he didn't flinch. He did not flinch. And during those 7 minutes, I mean, he comes and makes a beautiful corner throw right on that right on that Tampa, just drops it in there, doesn't flinch, comes back. He knows he needs to go down and drive. What do? They go down and drive. Now, though he didn't throw the game-winning touchdown, he managed his team after having 3 turnovers. back-to-back touchdown plays, and then he goes in and scores again with Montgomery. I just think you can't count Jared Goff out. I think he's here now. I think this is who he is. And so if he's got a good running game,
and that's what
he's going to execute.
You need to be able to run the ball.
Everybody needs a good running game. Yeah,
I think Montgomery
you have to.
Montgomery came into that game with a chip on his shoulder because the Bears didn't want to pay him. They let him go to Detroit. They let him go to the division rival. They let him go 6 hours up north. And what does he do? He runs all over Chicago yesterday. But I had Jared Goff because down 2 scores with 3 minutes left, he engineers an 8-play, 75-yard drive in just a minute and 16 seconds. Okay?
Boom.
The Bears come out and they have to punt after 5 plays. Absolutely terrible. Goff goes then 12 plays, 73 yards, 204. Not only does he get the touchdown, he basically leaves not enough time on the clock where the Bears have to kind of just run everybody deep, as Coach Cole said earlier, get Justin out of his zone, and you get the big strip sack by Aiden O'Connell. You get a big strip sack by Aiden Hutchinson. You get Montgomery in the end zone. There was nobody else that was going to touch the ball from the 1-yard line than David Montgomery.
Yeah.
You could see the emotion just flowing from him. As a Bears fan, I hated it, but as a quarterback guy, I really love seeing Jared Goff come back off 3 interceptions early in that game. And really, it's 3 minutes left. I thought the game was over, right? There's no way the Bears beat the Lions. This is great. And then all of a sudden, Jared Goff does what Brady did for so many years, and he just flipped the switch, and the Bears lose.
He did flip a switch. It looked good.
There's a really sloppy pick in here, too, that as a quarterback I was happy to see. I don't think anybody had the Browns beating the Steelers yesterday.
I have him next.
I did.
DTR.
You picked them? Okay.
No, I had the Steelers winning the game, but I'm with you. I have DTR here too because
DTR,
you're right. It wasn't flashy, but he got his team a win.
Not flashy. I mean, they played you safe all game, just to manage and kind of get out of there and not be embarrassed.
Yep.
And to lead a game-winning drive, to end off in the field goal, to beat a Pittsburgh team. I mean, Cleveland 7-3. I mean, so that was impressive.
That's insane. Yeah. They just find ways to win.
You get the game. You get the ball on your own 35-yard line, knowing that you need points to win. You haven't really been that efficient most of the day. It's been a pretty ugly day. A lot of defense. 9 plays, 43 yards, minute 16. Get the win. It's unbelievable. I picked the Steelers to win that game. And now the Browns, you're right, 7-3. They're still in the conversation, mainly because Myles Garrett, who I don't understand why we're not elevating him into that MVP conversation. I know he's not a quarterback, but golly, that sack he had at the goal line really should have been a safety yesterday.
Yeah, I thought it was a safety, and they didn't call it.
They didn't give it to him. So Myles Garrett and that defense is the reason they won that game, but hats off to DTR for staying composed at the end, for sure. Mm-hmm. So let's get into it because we're at that weird point of the season where injuries are taking over. People in the media think they can play in the NFL again. Who's hot right now? Who's getting hot? What do we think is going to happen? These are our hot topics for the week. Let's talk injury news first. I mean, when we, as fans, as quarterback guys, we lost Burrow, Watson, Rodgers. How does this affect the AFC playoff picture to you, Coach? Yeah,
it's wide open. I mean, we're back to that point where it's like, okay, who's gonna be the team out of here, right? And now you got to go back to reevaluating your entire team, right? Are we a run team now? Are we going to rely on our defense? Special teams doesn't matter anymore, right? Because there is no return game. But I think
not really.
There's some teams that might have thought that they were dead in the water. You still have a shot now with these.
Yeah, you do.
Like the Broncos.
Going into those Tuesday and Wednesday practices, you might have some juice back because you thought your season was over. And now with some of these injuries, you go on a 3-game streak here, you're back in the hunt.
I like that. I like that take. I thought maybe my take was that these injuries have really left it open for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens to kind of, if they can somehow end up with a better record than the Chiefs at the end with the way the Chiefs have been average on offenses, this may be a walk-in for the Ravens, right? This may be the opportunity that Lamar Jackson has a chance to take himself from here, regular season greatness, to all of a sudden way up here. What do you think, Brandon? These injuries.
I agree. I think the injuries to Burrow, Watson, Rodgers really hurts. The good part about it is for Lamar is now's your time. This is the perfect moment, and you're right now. What are they currently? What's their record? Is it
They have 2
8-2?
losses, 8-2.
Yeah, 8-2. And Kansas City is what, 7-2?
Yes.
Yep.
It's Kansas City versus Baltimore. I mean, I said this in the very beginning of the season. This is going to come down to those guys. And look where we are.
That's going to be, and then does it matter where it's at?
Lamar controls the destiny. He cannot go to Arrowhead Invitational. He has to play at Baltimore to beat them.
Yeah.
He's not going to Kansas City.
Burrow's the only one that can beat the Chiefs in Kansas City.
But
he's the only one.
Here's the thing with Lamar, and this is what I've noticed with a lot of these powerful teams.
Yeah.
They can't play from behind in double digits. Their offense is not set up to do that.
No.
Right?
No.
Same for the Niners. Same for the Cowboys.
The Ravens are a bunch of
Philly can come back. I've seen Philly come back, but once the Ravens and the Niners get down by double digits, it's like Pat Mahomes loves this. It's like, oh my God, I'm painting a movie. You're down by 14. I'm going to bring us back.
Mahomes loves
He loves that.
Have you guys looked at Baltimore's schedule to close out?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some tough games in there.
Yeah. I think they're going to beat us. I do, because Lamar's like 18-1 versus NFC teams.
There's some tough games in there, man. I mean, like, you got the Niners, you got the Dolphins, and the Steelers is always a grudge match. There's some tough games in there, and then the Jaguars are hot. You know, so I'm not convinced that Baltimore's going to steamroll.
Coach, I don't believe in the Dolphins. I don't believe in the Dolphins. I don't believe in the Dolphins for the same reason I don't believe in the Cowboys, because the Dolphins' losses have all come to 500 teams. They have not beaten a team over 500 either. So until they beat a winning team this year,
who?
Yeah,
who? They
who
lost.
They
lost. They lost to the Eagles. Did they not? Did they beat the Eagles?
No, the Dolphins. The Dolphins are beating up on all of the people that they should beat up on.
Exactly. But my point is that you've lost. Again, you've lost teams. You lost to the Bills bad in Buffalo when it was still nice and warm outside.
Bills, Eagles, Chiefs.
So it makes me wonder what happens when you're going to play a good team, Dolphins. I don't believe in you until you beat a good team. So that's where I am with Miami.
I don't believe in them in cold weather when it comes to playing.
No, at all.
I don't see them going into Baltimore and steamrolling. I don't see them going into Kansas City in January and doing it either. I just don't know. Surprise me.
They're undefeated at home for a reason.
That's true.
Yeah, it's just like, you go there, they're gonna kick your ass. But if you don't.
This brings me to an interesting point, because we talk about the injuries, and this is the second or third time, but this time RG3 took it to a personal video that he put out everywhere on Friday and said, hey, Cleveland, sign me. I'm going to take you to the Super Bowl. I didn't see Deshaun Watson doing any $230 million throws. I can do what he was doing. He was managing the game. He said he runs a 4.3 40. He says he can still throw the ball 80 yards in the air, and at the very least, he could be the backup to DTR and teach him the same way he taught Lamar Jackson how to play quarterback in the NFL. Are we buying or selling what RG3 is saying right now? Because I am all out on RG3.
Where's this video?
Oh, look it up. It went viral yesterday. Look it up.
I'm not buying it. Once you hit that studio,
it's a wrap.
Once you hit that studio, it's a wrap. Now, what I do believe in is I think that RG3 could be a very good quarterback coach, right? Like, if you want to be on a staff and in a mentorship position of, hey,
he's wicked
this is
smart.
how you carry yourself in the NFL, I believe in that. I believe in you helping him with a polo on. But as far as, putting on pads, no.
Oh, man.
So
I can't believe he said that?
Yes. There's a video. It was on his own podcast or something, and he went off. He said he could do this and that, and it makes me wonder, with Cam coming out, not too long ago saying there's not 32 better than me, and he hasn't played football in a long time. And the last time we saw Cam play, his QBR was 30. So that wasn't good. And now RG3, I wonder how mad the two of them are. They're probably talking together on the phone this morning, probably texting each other, because what's his name? Joe Flacco is going to get signed by the Cleveland Browns today. And how mad are Cam Newton and RG3 right now, texting each other about how they should both be in the NFL. But Joe Flacco gets the I don't get the Joe Flacco signing, but that's what they wanted to do. So
All right, I got to rip on this one, man. You guys, I got to see this. Hey, man, he's got a lot more pedigree than all. I mean, I get it. You won the Heisman. You're saying, hey, talk your ish, bro. Talk it.
Yeah.
But damn it, like you didn't ask your boy to review that before you sent that out.
Right.
Come on, man. You're a great analyst. I love your commentary. I think he's good for an ESPN, but Coach, just like you said, once you put that suit on and you get in that booth, man.
Yeah.
But that's what I think it is. I think we all know ESPN is struggling. So people are trying to do stuff to create headlines, right? And then he was covering the Clemson game, and he came out and ran and sprinted with the team to show that he still had the wheels. And he was doing the interview while he was running full speed, and I'm like, that was awesome. Get paid to do that.
Yeah. Well, that guy's an Olympic qualifier, wasn't he, with the hurdles back in the day? Like that dude's a freak. Like, he's a freak.
He's an amazing athlete, and I have no doubt that he's probably at a point where his body feels good again.
Yeah.
But until you get that first hit,
you get that first pop, man.
Come on, bro.
Hell, I was playing flag football last year, and I had a little shake. Man, my groin hurt the next day. I said, "Say, man, time for me to go sit my ass down."
If RG3 wants to play for the Browns and go to the Super Bowl, he should simply make himself on Madden, put himself on the Browns, and go ahead and go to the Super Bowl and enjoy.
Get him one of those ultimate teams.
That's right. Yeah. Be an ultimate team, RG3.
But to your point, Tim, this is exactly why teams aren't bringing in a RG3 or a Cam, because they come with all the extra stuff.
Yeah,
it's too much.
You're going to bring in a Flacco because Flacco's going to come in. He's going to get signed. He's not going to tweet about it. He's not going to post about it. He's going to show up. He's going to be a professional in the building. And he's not going to be knocking on the door every day talking about that I should start.
Right.
So, I mean.
Cool Joe.
That's the difference. He's just cool. He's going to come in. Yeah. He's going to be a vet. He's going to teach. He's going to mentor. He's going to hold the iPad.
But if that's what you wanted,
other guys aren't going to do that.
If that's what they wanted, why not? And why is he still on the street? Colt McCoy. Does he not want to play football, or does nobody signing him? Because the last time I saw him play last year, he played very, very well. He played well in preseason this year.
Maybe he's tired, bro. Maybe he's tired of it.
No clue.
And no one is signing him. And I feel like, wow, that's a guy. That's like a Graham Harrell, having him in the back. I mean, that's a guy that can certainly help a veteran. And to your point, would never say, hey, put me in the game. I'm the starter. I'm the best quarterback in the room. Right. But either will Joe. Joe comes. I mean, he did win a Super Bowl. I mean, kind of.
And he still can throw the ball probably like 80 yards.
Oh, he's got a cannon. But he
can't move. He had a cannon.
He can't move.
But do you guys think that this is personal with him and Flacco? Because didn't he come out and say that he mentored Lamar and Joe wanted nothing to do with them? So do you think it's personal that Joe's getting another shot and RG3's not?
Oh, I'm sure there's some personal.
I mean, that's a little dark shade there. Yeah, I mean, it could be.
Yeah. Yeah, they said Joe
I didn't know he mentored Lamar.
Well, that's
all three of those guys were on the Ravens roster, and he said that Flacco wouldn't help them, and he was the one that helped Lamar. He was the one that answered the question.
He said he learned
Flacco was like, it's not my job.
Yeah, he said he learned 9 different offenses in the NFL, and that he can pick up an offense very, very quickly, which I don't doubt. I mean, he went to Baylor. He's wicked smart. So he said he taught Lamar Jackson basically how to play football in the NFL. So
wow, that's a strong statement.
I'd like to see if that's true.
So let's move on. Strong statement.
We have a couple really good quarterbacks in the NFC and a couple left in the AFC. Let's get into Super Bowl predictions just for fun because we're almost to that last quarter of the season. In the NFC, I've got Dak and Purdy right now is playing the best quarterback in the NFC, although Dak has yet to beat a 500 team. So for me, the edge goes to Purdy. I'm going to put the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl, especially with Purdy having a perfect quarterback rating yesterday. Coach, what do you have? NFC.
Philly.
Of course.
You know he's going with that.
Of course.
I've got Philly. And it's not even being biased. I just think that the Philadelphia Eagles are so diverse in what they do offensively. They can run the ball. They can throw it if they have to. They've won games where Jalen has used his legs. They've won games where he hasn't used his legs. We've won games where we're in the middle to our running backs and our tight ends, and we've won games pushing it to the outside. So the Eagles aren't a one-trick pony, and I think that is very hard to defend, especially as you get into the later stages of the year. So I think their versatility in their offense, they can give you whatever you want. So I think that's just tough to beat.
Do you have any concern with the fact that the Eagles have had a lot of low scoring one possession wins? And do you worry that some of these do you feel like Jalen Hurts is the same quarterback as a Dak or a Purdy, as a Lamar, as a Jared Goff, who can sit in the pocket if he has to, if a team is taking that run away and your defense isn't playing well? Do you feel like Jalen can get into a shootout with some of these other guys and compete?
The Eagles are not a shootout team. I think the Eagles are a ball control team. I think what they do is they beat you up so that in the fourth quarter you're so worn down that they've taken your best shot already. So if we get into a shootout, like tonight, if the Eagles try to get into a shootout, that's not our game. We're turnover prone when we try to get into a shootout. When we lose controlling the tempo of the game, that's when Jalen starts trying to force and holding the ball a little bit too long, and he's rolling out of the pocket when he doesn't need to because he's pressing to make a play. And that's when a lot of our turnovers have happened. So we're not a shootout team. We are a game control team. When we lose control of the game, same thing in the Super Bowl last year. He's trying to make a play, turn the ball over, right?
Yeah.
So that is what worries me about us. You can't keep turning the ball over like that and winning games.
Well, so you're saying pressure bust pipes.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
I hate that you're an Eagles fan, but I love that you are a realistic Eagles fan and you speak the truth.
Yeah, you're very honest about it.
I'm honest. Listen, with the schedule that we've played, to be 8-1 is phenomenal. Now, these next 5 games, there's a gauntlet of games that we got to go through.
For sure.
If we come out of this 3-2, that's pretty solid, But with that being said, do the Eagles have the ability to win all 5? Yes, but we could also lose all 5. Depending on turning the ball over. And our secondary is horrendous. So if we don't control the game, we're in trouble.
There you go. Brandon, we already know where you're going to go, but go ahead and get it out. Go ahead and let it out. I know
I've been waiting on this one. I'm going to say the best quarterback in the NFC is clearly Brock Purdy.
Clearly.
He's doing it the best right now. He's beaten 500 teams. He laid a couple of eggs. I think Jalen Hurts is right there with him. I mean, what Jalen's doing, what impresses me about Jalen so much is I'm not enamored by these passing stats. It's what he does against teams over 500. He's like 14-1. It's insane, right? So he's winning the big games, but they're also a very scrappy team, and they can hang with you. I don't think that's a deficiency. I actually look at that as a strength because you're battle tested already. See, when we go into close net games or down by 10, we're like 0-30. So if you guys are up by double digits, we ain't winning. That's why I'm putting, if they get to Brock Purdy, if they get to him, I'm painting hypotheticals. They might. We'll see. But if you don't get to him, he's going to beat you. If you get to him, you're about to wipe the floor with us because we can't stop you. We can't stop dual threat quarterbacks, especially a guy like him, a guy who can soften the edges, right? Extend drives. When you get in that 3rd and 3 situation, here comes the tush push, right? They're getting three yards a pop. You can't stop that. I think you guys are going to split with Dallas. I'm praying that happens, hoping you lose tonight, but that's okay. That's good for us. But I would say right now, my Super Bowl prediction would probably be Philly versus Baltimore.
Okay, so you just skipped right to the AFC team. So go ahead and tell us. So we've got a couple of really good quarterbacks in the AFC right now. Obviously, you feel like Lamar is the guy in the AFC. Do you feel like anybody now with the injuries to the AFC quarterbacks, is there anybody that's going to step up and maybe challenge that?
That's tough, man. I would have loved to see Deshaun Watson do it, but he got hurt. I think that was my guy to start. Okay, let's rise, but maybe CJ. Maybe that Texan team is playing with a lot of emotion, and they're almost naive to the moment. It's kind of like going back to the Rangers. They're a young, talented team. They don't realize the magnitude of this, and they're just playing. Okay. They're just playing, and I love seeing that. Like they're fearless. They weren't afraid to lose.
Yeah,
and so they just went for it. So I could see CJ, making a little run too. low key.
I could see the Texans doing that, but you're going to need the Jaguars to fall a little bit because of how your season started. I think the Broncos, I think Russell's playing really well, but that's going to be a struggle for them to get in. Tua's playing really well. Josh Allen is, he's always going to be amazing, but are the Bills too far behind in the race? I mean, they're outside looking in. They're not even in the playoffs if the season ended today.
Yeah.
So the two
so
best,
weird to say.
The two best quarterbacks in AFC, if the season ended today, that are in the playoffs, you have to go Lamar and Stroud. By the way, the Texans are in the playoffs if the season ended today, but you have to go with Lamar and Patrick Mahomes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the question to me is, where is that game going to be played? If it's in Baltimore, I think the Ravens win it. I think that defense is very, very good, and the Chiefs' offense is suspect this season. They don't have anybody to stretch the field. They really rely on Patrick Mahomes to just make plays, and Travis Kelce. That's where
he's doing a lot. Kelsey's hurt, man. I think Kelsey's hurt. He don't move the same. Something's wrong with him.
By the way, I think that if the Bills can get themselves in it, Josh Allen does lead the league in touchdown passes. And if they can continue to control him the way they did last night, and he cuts his turnovers down to say maybe 3 interceptions going the rest of the year, maybe 1 or 2 throughout the playoffs.
Is that a bold prediction?
They can be tough, man. They can be tough.
They're tough out.
It's not easy. Remember, Josh Allen 2 years ago was 3 years ago, 13 seconds away from beating Patrick Mahomes in Burrowhead. So
I think OJ cursed the Bills, man. Bills ain't doing nothing, man.
That might be. Honestly, I think the best.
We've seen it with Jim Kelly.
The best quarterback in the AFC, the best quarterback in all of the NFL, to me, is hurt and not playing anymore, and that's Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow has the it factor. I think he has that Tom Brady gene in him, and now he's hurt. And now with him out, it is over for the Bengals, and I, as a fan of quarterbacks, I'm sad to not be able to watch Joe Burrow.
I'm going to call a timeout. We're crowning too many people. It's Mahomes' world until somebody shuts him up. It is Patrick Mahomes' world, and we're just living in it.
Yeah.
The jersey you got on right now,
we're
all living in his world.
I'm a big fan today, but
we're in his world right now.
Okay.
Joe ain't done nothing to him yet. He beat him. He didn't win the big one. Well, he didn't win it. Pat's got 2 on him.
Understood. That's
come on, man.
That's fair.
It was a rivalry. It was getting
right. A little rivalry, a little Joe Burrow pack. But I will say, Joe is the biggest threat to Patrick Mahomes.
They play the game differently, don't they? I mean, Patrick is just
not really.
Now,
they got a little.
Patrick just now over the last year or two started to play more cerebral, but for a long time, Patrick was doing the Josh Allen thing and just kind of running around and making plays. And he's really changed that about. He does a lot more work at the line of scrimmage now than he had in the past. I think Andy Reid and, being on that sideline along with what's his name, even though I don't like him. Who's the other guy they have there now? Their quarterback's coach, offensive coordinator. He used to be the coach of the Bears. Nobody wants to know his
Nagy. Matt Nagy.
There you go, Matt
Nagy.
I think he knows quarterbacks, and I think the two of them.
He's an arena football quarterback also.
Mahomes
I heard he was good.
Made a tremendous difference.
Yeah, he was.
Matt Nagy. He was nice.
I
remember watching film on him.
I was rooting for him when he got a job, but I was rooting for him when he got the job with the Bears. But
you know what? They blew that whole thing by not drafting Patrick Mahomes to begin with. And then they blew it by the way they treated Mitchell Trubisky because they wanted to bring in old boy from Philly, which wasn't the right move. So Matt Nagy blew that situation in Chicago. He was a great arena quarterback, and he's a great offensive mind. He's a great offensive coach. So good for him. Let's get in the next week. I think we've beat this week up enough, even though tonight's a big game between the Chiefs and the Eagles. We'll be excited to see what happens there. But quarterbacks you're looking at into next week, who are you looking for, Coach? What game do you going to make sure you're on the couch to watch?
Oh, I really want to see, selfishly, I want to see the Bills. I want to see what they do 2 weeks in a row with Brady at the helm. Are they going to stay as a balanced offense, or are they going to fall back into throwing the ball 50 times a game? I love, to your point, this entire episode of how Allen looked in a balanced offense, under center, running the ball and not having the entire weight on the shoulders, and it has nothing to do with the fact that they're playing Philly in a row. I just want to see it 2 weeks in a row. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
That's a tough matchup. Wow,
that's
a
going to be a
real
great
good
one. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
I think that game is going to tell a lot about who the Bills are because they're playing the mighty Eagles, and that game is a really tough win for the Eagles, which I love as a Cowboys fan. Tough games for the Eagles. What are you looking forward to next week? Obviously Brock Purdy, but I'm just going to assume that that's.
Come on, man! It is Brock Purdy versus Geno. I think this is the biggest game this is the biggest matchup of the week to me.
Can Purdy
because this determines he's already done it.
Okay,
and he did it in the playoffs. Man, stop playing with my boy. I got ammo for days on him.
This is going to be tough. Does Geno play?
Geno's hurt.
Well, he almost had a Brady moment.
He did. I wanted to talk about it.
He came back, threw the ball.
Yeah, I mean, for him to come back off the bench with a big thing on his arm and almost win the game, pretty impressive.
I think this is going to be a dogfight, and I tell you why. Because Seattle's been playing pretty well. They've been playing some close games. Obviously, they lost this one. But I think the match within the trenches is going to pay off. If you can get to Purdy, it's going to be hard. If they can jump out on us, it's going to be tough to play in there. So if we split 1-1, cool. I'd love to beat them because they're going to play. We're playing them 2 out of 3 weeks. So we have them. Then I think we play the Eagles, and then we play Seattle again. So this 3-game stretch here is going to be a dogfight.
There's
this is going to be a tough game.
There's all this bravado from you and the 49ers going to the Super Bowl, but I don't know if we can beat the Eagles, and I don't know if we can beat Seattle. It's going to be tough. But I'm
being realistic.
Purdy's the best quarterback ever. I just don't know if we can beat the Eagles.
I didn't say ever. See, I didn't say ever. I said the only reason why I say I don't think we can beat Philly is because we struggle versus dual threat quarterbacks. And Hufanga, who just tore his ACL, that's a question. Now, can Brown come in there and do some good things? I hope so. But Jalen Hurts is dangerous, man. Like that whole Philly offense, and we play a lot of man-to-man coverage sometimes on first and second down. And versus A.J. Brown, he is number 1 versus man. He's going to torch Tre'Davious Ward. Okay. I'm scared of that. I'm just being a realistic fan, man. If we win,
be honest about it.
Yeah,
come on now.
I'm with you. I had 3 of those games.
Makes me nervous.
I mean, I should say I'm excited to see the Cowboys play the Commanders on Thanksgiving, but I'm not because the Commanders are terrible and we should blow them out. So, folks, tune in to Lamar versus Herbert, the Ravens versus the Chargers. And this is why.
That's going to be a fun one.
I said this earlier. Herbert's the fastest player to reach 1,500 completions. I feel people won't necessarily agree with me. I feel like Justin Herbert is the better quarterback in this matchup, at least from a passing standpoint. He's the better pure passer. Lamar is the more accomplished guy. He's the better athlete. He's the better football player. No doubt about it. My thing about this game for the Ravens is the Chargers score a lot of points, right? If the Ravens get into a shootout, much like I asked about the Eagles, can the Ravens keep up? Can Lamar keep up?
I don't know.
With Herbert?
I haven't seen it.
Does the Ravens defense show who they really are and just shut that Charger offense down? And if they shut down that offense, that tells me the Ravens are the clear-cut favorite in the AFC because that is a very high-powered offense that the Chargers have. They just give up 30, 40 points a game. So that's a problem.
Now,
for them.
didn't they Marlon Humphreys tear his ACL? Isn't Marlon Humphrey out? I think he is.
I wasn't sure of the injury.
I think he is.
Maybe.
Sure of the injury.
I think he is. And that's
that's a big problem. Justin Herbert.
That's a big problem against him.
So this is to me, this is a test. I don't think the Chargers are the better team. I don't think the Chargers are going to get a chance in the playoffs this year because they literally can't stop a nosebleed. But it's a test for the Ravens, right? Can you get into that type of game and keep up? Because you may have to with the Bills, the Dolphins, or the Chiefs in the playoffs. So it's a big, big test for the Ravens and Lamar Jackson this week to me. So, wow, that was a lot of fun, guys. I
got one more for you.
Oh, we got another one.
C.J. Stroud and T-Law. Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, young guns.
The young guns.
He beat T-Law
that's a divisional. That's for first place.
It's huge. Yeah.
This is big.
That's a big, big game. When is that game on, Brandon? Let the folks know.
Look at the schedule. That game is on, I believe it's Sunday. Let me just pull on up the schedule here.
Love that. And who's our
I think
Thanksgiving?
that game's on Sunday, gents.
We've got
At noon.
Packers,
At noon.
Lions.
Yeah, at noon.
In the morning. We've got the Cowboys playing the expansion team from Washington. And then who's the night game? Who's the night game?
The 49ers at Seattle.
Oh, yeah. That's a great Thanksgiving of football. I can't wait.
That's a great Thanksgiving lineup, man.
Look forward to it. Yep.
Yeah.
Detroit's finally something, so the 11 o'clock game seems fair to watch because whoever watched it?
Well,
nobody.
As a Bear guy, I love to watch the Packers lose, so I'm all in to watch.
Dude, I'd never watched the Lions game till now.
Really? Oh man, you didn't.
Well, not on Thanksgiving. Not on Thanksgiving at 11.
But you had to when Barry Sanders was there.
Well, Megatron.
Barry Sanders, of course.
Oh yeah, when Megatron was playing. Yeah, I used to watch when Megatron was playing and Barry Sanders for
younger.
sure.
I don't think you're quite old enough to have watched Barry. You never watched Barry Sanders, did you?
I did watch Barry in 90. He retired in 98, right? Yeah, I watched Barry for like 5 years, and then he just disappeared. They were like, "Well, he's not coming anymore." I remember buying his shoes, his turf shoes, back in like fifth grade. The blue ones, those were sweet.
Tomorrow, it drops a documentary about Barry Sanders and his retirement on NFL Network.
Oh,
this is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, so watch that.
What's it on?
I think it's on NFL Network. I think that's where it's going to be on. Yeah,
I can't
so
wait.
Definitely pay attention to that. So we're getting into the final piece of it. This is the fantasy segment where Brandon tells you about quarterbacks to hold on to this week, quarterbacks to stay away from. So Brandon, what do you got for us, man? Tell the folks what's going on with these quarterbacks in fantasy.
Last week, man, I lit it up again. So if you guys want to listen to me, please do. If you don't, well, sucks. You're probably losing anyway. So our guys right now, I'd say start Lamar versus the Chargers. I'm going to say start Hurts versus the Bills. I'm going to say start CJ versus the Jags because he lit them up last time. I'd say start Dak versus the Commanders. He tends to do pretty well in Thanksgiving games, doesn't he? Yeah, I think that's an easy one. Goff versus the Packers. Brock Purdy versus Seahawks because he owns them right now. So we'll see what happens. Got to protect them. Mahomes versus the Raiders. I say Kyler versus the Rams. I think that's going to be a nice little matchup. Sit Herbert versus the Ravens. I don't think it's going to be the match you're thinking, Tim. Maybe we'll see.
We'll see.
Trevor Lawrence versus the Texans. Sam Howell versus the Cowboys. And Geno versus the 49ers. Sit them. If you got any other quarterbacks outside the quarterbacks I named, you're probably losing anyway. So
it doesn't matter.
Trade them out, man. Go to free agency.
Are we playing Justin Fields now that he's healthy again? I mean, he ran for 100 yards yesterday. Does he get any points?
I mean, he did. I mean, I think you can play Justin Fields in any scenario just because. But who is he playing right now? What's the team he's going to play?
Oh, I don't know.
The Vikings?
Yeah.
I think you play him. Maybe. I think you play him.
By the way, just so everybody,
it's tough. If you have another quarterback on your roster, please start him. Don't start Justin
everybody
Fields.
knows
that's the only bet.
We talked about our coach predictions. We all predicted that last night the Cinderella slipper would come off Josh Dobbs, which unfortunately it did. We thought he would lose. It did. And we were correct. So pay attention to what we're saying because usually we're always right sometimes. That's all I can tell you.
Sometimes.
That's going to do it for this week's edition of the QB Huddle Podcast. By the way, this is week 11, so thank you for allowing us to come and join you and talk about quarterbacks for 11 weeks in a row. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment, even if you don't agree. Keep an eye out for the Couch Coach podcast that'll be airing after Thanksgiving. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you to our incredible producer, Mark Watson in Arizona. Thank you to Coach Coles for joining us for the first time.
Appreciate you, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
Always welcome. We can't wait to get to a few Frisco Fighter games. Hopefully we're invited. Thank you to my podcast partner, Brandon Newey. I'm Tim Smith. We'll see you next week on the QB Huddle Podcast.
Appreciate it.